You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.
Hey, welcome back to Guitar Talk. I am Dave.
And I am John, and I am drinking coffee out of a Dave's Guitar Channel coffee mug once again.
As all of you should be. And this is our post-Summer NAMM discussion, 2019.
2019, and I'm ringing in 2019 in the end of July with my Dave's Guitar Channel coffee. I'm going to keep saying it.
You're going to be enjoying a large cup of your favorite cup of coffee.
Might I just say, this cup keeps the coffee warm.
What would you pay? But wait, we also throw in a couple of Fireballs and Smarties. But now wait.
If I buy this coffee mug as a customer, or not a customer, but as a supporter of your channel,
yes,
do I also get a free 5-pound bag of Pete's fresh roasted coffee beans?
You do, but you have to buy that at Pete's.
Oh, I understand. Okay. So what you're telling me is if I buy this, I don't get a $30 bag of coffee beans for
that
free.
Would be correct.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's still a deal. Still a deal.
Yes, it's a bargain.
How much do you charge people for these things?
Right now, I'm selling them, the last of them, for $30 because the shipping has just gone through the roof on it.
Got it. Definitely worthwhile. The red on the inside, to quote Rick Waite, oh, the red on the inside's got to be worth at least like $20 on its own.
Hey, rock star. Future rock star. All right.
Oh, brother. What a morning.
All right. So NAMM happened last weekend, which I had a fantastic weekend of gigs. I played a 6-hour gig up on a lake where boats were pulling up, shutting off their engines and just floating, listening to us play. It was like we would stop and there'd be like an applause throughout the whole lake. It was pretty crazy and fun.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it was just two of us playing acoustic. So and then Emily came up and she sang a couple of tunes and did backups. We did like The Chain from Fleetwood Mac, and acoustically it was just sounding great. And then I played in Rhode Island last night. I played down in Newport, 4 to 7 actually, an afternoon gig, and that went great. And they feed us, and it was a long, tiring weekend, but it was 2 great gigs. So I was happy for that. I have a great gig coming up this weekend, but if I didn't have those gigs, I would have probably have gone down to Nashville to the Summer NAMM show just to putz around.
Good old Summer NAMM.
Summer NAMM I don't mind as much, and the fact that it was in Nashville, I would have went down just to go down to maybe get some barbecue in Memphis and hang around, and yeah, I mean,
it's a great time. I wonder if we have any listeners in Nashville.
I'm sure
that's such a good
pretty
city.
Close. Yeah, it's great. And Steve Wariner was there on Saturday.
Ooh.
Unveiling, which I think I failed to mention to you, he unveiled the Nashville Gentleman, the Steve Wariner signature Gretsch.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. What's the story on that? I assume that it's kind of like a country gentleman with a Steve Wariner twist.
It looks like it's the smaller body, like the 6120.
Mm-hmm.
The F-holes are not real.
Hey, this is a family program.
Exactly. The F-holes are not real.
Ooh. So it's like the what did they call the Tennessee Rose HT that had the fake F-holes on it?
Right.
I love the fake F-holes.
Yeah, he went with the Paul Yandel TV Jones pickup in the bridge and a classic in the neck, I think, and a classic Tron Plus in the bridge.
Who's Paul Yandel?
He was the guy who played with Chet Atkins. He was like one of Chet's guys.
Okay.
Really good player. The other thing that was really cool about it, which I just ordered the part, was he says in the video his has a pinless Bigsby. Now, anybody that knows anything about Bigsby knows that they has the horrible 6 pins that you got to put the ball in. You put it over the hole. In fact, right here, you can kind of see.
Yeah, there's
the pin here is underneath. There's 6 pins, and it takes forever. So to put the strings on, you have to use a capo with every string you put on, because you have to put that applied tension on it, or else it's going to fall right off the pin.
Yeah, it's a pain.
So I was like, oh my God, I got to find out what it's called. And it's called the String Through Bigsby. And then I saw that Callahan makes a replacement part that I can take this off, take my pinned one out, put a new one in. It was $45 for a solid steel, like a stainless steel, whatever it is. Not stainless, but
so
maybe it is.
What is that? What is does it have like some sort of hooks or grooves built into it?
No, it's string through.
Oh,
string through.
Convenient.
So okay. Yeah. So it just becomes a string through device, like the way a Tonemaster works.
Why wouldn't it just be like that in the first place?
That's the question I asked myself when I saw that they made the string through. I'm like, why wasn't this first? Like, when the Bigsby came out, I mean, the Tonematic was already out. You can see how to fucking do a bridge.
Yeah, that's really weird, because it is. I mean, I love a Bigsby. I love playing on one, but it is a pain to restring.
Yeah, so I ordered the part. It should be coming in, I think, by the end of this week.
You're gonna get it and put it on, and you'll restring it really easily, but then it'll just fall out of tune every 5 minutes, and you'll be like, no.
And this thing holds tune great. And the other thing about this guitar is, so I was playing it the other day, and I'm like, ooh, I really need stainless frets on this, so I never have to worry about it. And then I'm like, but the neck, I would want the neck shaped a little bit more V. It's a real soft V. And then I'm like, this is like the way a crappy American Fender does a V. I went on Warmouth, and I see for $157, which is, their basic price of, they had maple, the dots, 10 to 16 compound radius, 1 3/4 nut width, boat neck V. I'm like, how do I not get it? So I ordered it, and that'll be
any finish on it, or is it raw?
I ordered it with the vintage satin tint.
Right. All right. Yeah, that'll be. And it was. So what's the total price of the neck after
$303
stainless and the tint?
$303.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're changing the entire feel of your instrument and upgrading it with stainless frets for $300.
Exactly.
Totally
that's what it cost me for a fret job. So I was like, it didn't. When I looked through the thing and I saw what the total would be, I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. It's the same exact cost to getting a boat neck version with a 10 to 16 compound radius with a vintage satin nitrocellulose. I mean, I was like, so that was that. So that's what's going on with that guitar. And that was because I saw the Steve Wariner, and I guess he performed at the booth and was showing it. That was like the one thing where I was like, that would have been cool to see, because I don't know if people know, I am a Wariner fan. So, and I saw a video of what the hell's his name, Brent Mason, playing at the Wampler booth.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, fucking
guys. Man. As the young people say, that dude's fire.
They do say that, unfortunately. So did you see any of the videos of any of the booths? Like, I saw the Gibson booth, and it's like, Gibson's making the same old stuff. Marshall was excited to be there to show they haven't upgraded an amplifier since 1976.
I'll tell you what, my favorite thing about Summer NAMM has nothing in the world to do with the products.
Right.
It has everything in the world to do with barbecue, but it also has everything to do with the people when you're working for a vendor.
Sure.
So if you work for Yamaha or you work for anybody, it doesn't even matter. You will get these no-name artists that come up to you, and all they really want to do is figure out whether or not you're giving out product or you're looking for artists to endorse, and they're hilarious. It's Summer NAMM. I had a
Yes.
woman. I had a woman one year come up to me and she said, "I'm Rattlesnake Annie." And
Of
I'm
course
like,
you are.
"Do go on." She's looking for a guitar that she can endorse, and you know, to be to be completely to be completely what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Desperate. She basically was just like everybody. Sorry, Rattlesnake Annie, for throwing you under the bus, but like it's everybody at Summer NAMM. They're like, we're an artist and we're willing to play your guitar. We have no heart and soul for any of the instruments that we choose. We just want a free one.
Right.
And it was like, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose I could play yours if I get an artist deal. It's like, dude,
I had a
that's not
guy
how it
tell
works.
me, I had a guy tell me when we were repping a company at NAMM in 2005, and this guy came up to me and said, "I do clinics. I I'll have your banner behind me." So I said, "Well, let me hear you play." Started playing, and I'm like, "How much is it going to cost me to get the banner from behind you?" I want it taken down. He was horrendous.
Oh man, you know how to make
Uh,
friends.
oh yeah, he loved me. Yeah.
That's so
Look, I
great.
mean, it's not a kind business. We basically would say you don't come with a value that, we have to factor the value of, if I'm giving you an instrument that costs me $1,500 to manufacture or $1,000, I have to see $1,000 of value coming back to me.
Right. It's
And if I
very, very
don't,
hard to quantify that too. You
yeah,
know, the the reality is for all of the people out there who are thinking like what a dream it would be to get an endorsement like this, the reality is like every single person who plays guitar wants one of these when they're younger, and they all bug you. And so when you're at a trade show and you've got the regular Joes of the world like looking for endorsement deals, it's like every single person that asks is the company taking one step backward away from wanting to offer these to anybody, which is why you see a lot of like higher end companies just saying like, no, if you like our gear, you're going to buy our gear. There's just there's no desire, I don't think anyways. I don't think there's any desire to get these guitars in these artists' hands unless they are like one of the top 5 guys in the entire industry.
well,
Yep.
I brought this up before to you, I think, at one point, but Taylor Swift is selling more guitars to little girls and getting more little girls, or did in the last, let's say, how long she's been out,
Yeah.
probably up till a few years ago when she became irrelevant. But she sold more guitars for Taylor Guitars because she played that Taylor
Yeah.
than most guitar companies get from the shredder guys, what they're doing. And
Yeah,
so
I would totally agree with that. That whole thing has changed. And you've said before numerous times that artist guitars don't make much benefit to a company, I think. That's not exact. I'm paraphrasing, but I think I'm what you should say
signature
your.
models.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Signature
Yes.
models. Yeah.
Right, but that doesn't mean they don't do well for the company. So in other words, like Clapton plays a Strat. The
Mhm.
Clapton Strat may sell X amount of it might do X amount of business, but the Strat itself does a lot more business just because Clapton plays it and Gilmore plays it. Their signature model may not sell because signatures don't sell, but they drive people to that thing. Just like uh, Jimmy Page doesn't need a Gibson Les Paul signature model.
Right.
People are buying that guitar because of Jimmy Page anyways. So what I was saying is the signature model may not sell great, or they always have to do them in limited runs to make it seem like this is, but the model itself the brand itself is doing better because of Jimmy Page. you know, and the business is so dried up. I'm going to do a great segue here. The business is so dried up that at Summer NAMM this year, you have Dunlop selling Jimi Hendrix guitar pedals.
And these are different from their last iteration. How? Because
They're in a
Dunlop
smaller box.
Okay, because Dunlop has been making Hendrix pedals for a while. I don't know
These are
these
the
new
Psych
ones.
series, so they're in a smaller. They're mini pedals. That's the big thing about
Oh,
them.
okay.
And then because they're in a mini pedal, they do the fancy artwork on it, the Hendrix artwork.
Okay, got it. I'm looking right now. I see 69 Psych Series Fuzz Face Distortion, 69 Psych Series. So they're calling it a Psych Series.
Right.
I'm seeing Authentic
Well, because
Hendrix
it's
Psych
the picture
Series.
is psychedelic. That's
Yeah,
what.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the artwork that's on the boxes is cool. I don't think I have any pedals that have like this artwork. I see a lot of companies doing like really busy artwork pedals.
Mhm.
It's kind of, I don't know, it's whoever did the design work. It's kind of neat looking, but the so we got a distortion of fuzz, a chorus vibrato, and a band of gypsies fuzz. Now hold on, what's different? One fuzz is a 2-knob fuzz, and the other one is a 3-knob fuzz. So you get a tone. Are they the same otherwise?
What is it?
One they have 2 fuzz pedals. One of them has a tone knob. One of them doesn't. I'm just looking right now to see if there's anything else. Da, 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 da. They don't. Do they get into it? I don't think they're really getting into the specs quite yet, and it's saying it's not available until September. I don't know if these pedals are particularly geared to us. You know, I think that one of the things about any industry, especially the one that I'm in because I know it better than any other one because I spend all my time here, is every year there's like a new kid buying a guitar that never had one before. You know, the next wave of 12-year-olds is coming.
Sure.
And I feel like the constant reinvention over and over and over of the same thing and the same guys, like it's because there is nobody in the current generation of radio music that people care about. But young kids are still discovering Hendrix, so they get, you know, a new Hendrix product or whatever. But it
Sure.
does speak to what you're saying a moment ago, that the industry is a little bit empty, especially from the pop music side. It's very empty. There's nobody to draw young people in again. But I would make a parallel to the movie industry with Spider-Man specifically. I was an adult when they made that last run of Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, right?
Sure.
And I was like, whoa, this is cool. They're doing, and it doesn't seem that long ago because I was already an adult when that happened. But now they re-release with new people, and it feels like, what are they doing? And then I get reminded by my wife, this isn't for you.
Right.
That last one maybe was for you because it was the first one that you got when you were like, you know, an adult or whatever.
Sure.
This is for, you know, the next group of people. That one's already old, and it's kind of like, oh, weird. I never thought of it that way. I always just kind of thought like, it's already there, just use that. But it's like, no, they got
No,
to
I
grab more
totally
money.
get it that a 15-year-old kid that has a Jimi Hendrix pedal on his wall for Christmas is going to be thrilled if he has a a fuzz face with Hendrix, you know, the Hendrix Psych collection.
Yeah.
I think if he's a little bit more into guitar, he would have much rather had one that looks like the original Dallas Arbiter one, the Dunlop one, the circular one that they make. But
Yeah.
regardless, um, I don't know how that's going to sound through his modeling amp that he's using. So
Well, it all depends on whether or not he's got a rosewood or maple fingerboard.
that's right. What
The
tone woods?
Now I'm looking right now. There's a whole bunch more pedals in the series I didn't even notice. I thought it was just the top line models, this authentic 69 Psych series. But if you go down on the page a little bit more, there's also a Hendrix wah pedal, a mini wah, a mini
Yeah.
fuzz face, Band of Gypsies series fuzz face,
Unbelievable.
Jimi Hendrix fuzz face distortion. There's a lot of them.
Unbelievable.
I wonder what's different. I mean, I genuinely wonder what's different. I ought to try and see if Tim will ever wants to come on and shoot the shit with us. Tim McKee is the head of artist relations over at Dunlop. Good guy.
Nice. Yeah.
Used to be with Boogie.
Well, unfortunately, that's the business. The business is really laden with great guys. And
Absolutely.
a lot of them end up pushing stuff or having to sell stuff that may not have been a great idea from concept, but
I've
you
been in a
know,
number of those meetings, as you know. Sometimes the things you never think will work, and sometimes the things that should be a slam dunk don't. And I don't really know.
let's talk about some other stuff from NAMM, a hit and a miss. We'll talk about two amplifiers. The hit was the one that you brought up,
The JJ Junior.
the JJ
Now,
Junior from Friedman Amps.
yep. To be fair, that did not come out at Summer NAMM, but it kind of just fell onto my radar recently. I've known they made it for a little while, but I never listened to it. Now,
Okay.
I've mentioned him before. All of you guys out there should go to Big Harry Guitars. Go to Michael Nielsen's YouTube page and subscribe to him right after you're done subscribing to Dave's Guitar Channel and my page, which I think is called John Bingham.
Yes.
I don't even remember. Yeah, I'm such a good advertiser for myself. No, but Michael Nielsen does great work, and he has a video of the JJ Junior, and it's the first time I think I've ever listened to like a small wattage, like little amp, mini amp, and been like, Jesus, I gotta buy one. Because normally I'm more of a fan of like big iron sounds better, but this amp just rips.
And how many watts is this amp?
20 watts, two EL84s, but it sounds incredible.
And what is the street price of same?
$14.99.
$15. That's a great price. Oh, $1,499.
Right. Hand built in the US. But here's the thing that I think is really cool about it that nobody else does. And somebody's going to comment and say, no, nobody else. This other guy does it too. But anyway, very few people do this. You can actually use this amplifier without a cabinet. He built in a reactive load into the circuit, so you don't have to plug it into a speaker cabinet in order to use it and use the direct recording out that's on it. So if you're in an apartment or if you're in a house where you don't have good soundproofing and you can't get a good home recorded tone and you like using real tube amps to do that sort of thing, you can do it without buying a load box. And that is cool.
If you're in a house, an apartment, yes, anything you want to keep cool, Tommy.
Yeah, this thing's really cool. That's so stupid. No, but I love the fact that he's putting a load on the amplifier internally so that you don't have to go out and spend another $300 on a load box. You don't have to get an IR loader or anything. It has a built-in direct out that has an analog filtered cabinet simulation. So there's something there for the home recordist. Is a recordist a thing?
Well, 20 watts is enough to play even gigs. I mean, if you're playing, it sounds like if you needed one amp and you are a fan of the sound of that amp is the way to go. I mean, it's a nice sounding amp. Friedman makes good stuff. There's no question.
Yeah. Well, from a wattage perspective, playing live, the last two gigs I played, I used that 40-watt amp, the Dirty Shirley.
Sure.
I don't think I turned it up past 9 o'clock either gig. That's just.
I would imagine, yeah.
That's what you need.
40 is strong.
Yeah, so I imagine that even the 20-watt amp, you might go up halfway, but you're up halfway and you're keeping up with the drummer.
Yeah.
So I think that that's probably sufficient. But yeah, go and listen to that clip. That's the latest amplifier to fall on my plate and me say, God dang, I might have to do something with that. But there's been a number of things I've been listening to lately and kind of wetting my beak, as it were.
Yeah.
But that one's definitely high on the list for $14.99. It's like, dude.
I think the shoot and the miss for the NAMM show for me was the Tonemaster series Fender amps.
Oh, right. And so the Tonemaster series, I followed this. For those out there who don't know, Tonemaster is a modeling amplifier that does not model various amplifiers. It only models. Am I getting this right? The twin and the deluxe reverb.
Right. There's two versions. There's a twin and there's a deluxe, and each modeling amp only models that amp.
which is a novel idea. I don't know anybody else out there who's saying we're reinventing our own amp and we're trying to model specifically only that one sound as accurately as possible. That's what they're
Right.
saying.
Sure.
I've never seen another one like it. Have you?
Now let me just discuss some of the issues with it.
Okay.
Let's say the amp sounds like you buy the deluxe reverb. Now it also has an attenuator on the back, so you can change the wattage, the perceived wattage, and all that. Now let's say this thing sounds exactly like the amp, and it's lighter. This would be a great amp. Now, how much is a deluxe reverb at a store? What's the street? Is it $10.99?
Whip around music. Da-da-da.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. This show's brought to you also by Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
I am showing for the Blackface 65 deluxe reissue, $11.99. For the
11.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the 68 custom deluxe reverb reissue, $10.49.
$10.49.
Yeah.
So we have $11.99 or $10.49. Now, if I were to buy a modeling version of that amp, what would you pay as a customer? Would you think that it's a value that you're getting less than the original amp, but something that has, whatever it is? What would you say
Right. Oh,
the street
yeah.
should be on an amp like that? I just want what your opinion would be on it. What
Yeah.
should be the price?
Well, talk me through the feature set of this thing because I can't.
Well, you
I
have
can't
your
speak to it.
recording
It's a
out.
new
It
thing.
has your DI out.
Okay.
So it has a DI. I mean, it's basically like a modeling amp. So it has all those features. I think that it doesn't have effects. It just has like the reverb, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's only modeling the one thing. I think it has a Neo speaker in it for lighter
Yeah,
weight.
sure. Because the whole point
Right.
is to try to make it a lighter amp.
Right. And do you know if
But-
they're still using? You know if they're still using the birch cabinet or if they're
Let me look.
cheapening that? I don't know. Yeah, I'm hesitant to like jump out there and say it should be $4.99 because it might just be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where they're making the I don't know if they're using an ice board for power or if they're using their own in-house Class D whatever for power.
Okay, both amps
don't
come with reverb and tremolo. They each come with a balanced XLR line output with an IR cab simulation
Okay.
and a USB port.
Well, the good news is, according to the website, they come with classic blackface tone.
Right.
I mean, it's a little racially insensitive, but what are you going to do these
Awful.
days? What?
Okay, you ready for the price of these things? Like the cabinet
Yeah,
looks the same.
I see it now.
Yeah, ridiculous. So, folks, what it is the deluxe reverb is $8.99 and the twin is $9.99.
So they're playing off the fears that a deluxe reverb with tubes in it is. This is for a guy that doesn't want to mess with tubes, and maybe a tube amp is too heavy. So you're shaving some pounds off of it, and you're telling people we're going to get you the same sound without having to mess with tubes. Let me ask you, over the course of your career, your illustrious career, might we say,
Oh, yes.
how many times have you had a tube amplifier fail on you so badly that you've considered, like, I got to get out of tubes, this is a nightmare?
0.
That's my thing. I've had I've changed tubes before. I've had a 5150 hot plate on me, throw new tubes in it, never another problem. It comes with the territory a little bit, but to I don't know, to play off the fears of like tubes are not going to be available, in 20 years. They've been saying that for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And they're still available. And in fact, I bet there's just as many out there today as there were, years ago, because the Chinese are making them, the Russians are making them. And people are buying tube amplifiers.
So years ago, we all know I enjoyed the Flextone 3 amplifier. Now, the Flextone 3 I thought was great. It modeled about 10 different amps or 12 different amps. It could do everything. It had the direct out just like this. It has all the feature sets. What did they go? I mean, you can buy them used right now for like 200 or $300.
Right.
I just don't see in the
They
modeling amp.
were
What did you pay?
$7.99, $8.99 when we were at West LA. That was 10 years ago. But what were they
No.
for? What was it for a Flextone with a 112?
I think it was $5.99 or $6.99.
Okay, got it. All right, a little cheaper. What with inflation? What would that be, like $1,800 today? Oh.
Well, let me just take a look at what let me just see what line 6 is selling. Line 6 amps. Let's see what their working real amp is. Not the spider nonsense, but the other stuff. Let me see.
Have you smashed your spider yet? I'll do a video of you smashing your spider.
No, I would, as I've said before, I would give it to a child before that. Okay, so we have a line 6 makes. Oh, that's their tube amp. Can I get to line 6 website? Here we go. Okay, so they have tube amps now. Let's go to their products. No, I don't want to be on your mailing list. Products, amps. So there's the Amplify or the Firehawk 15. What is this? Firehawk has a remote app. Yeah, I'm already bored with that. Hey, we want to get your phone involved. Yeah, piss up a rope. Okay, what's this Amplify? Okay, the Amplify looks like a thing.
Is it supposed to be Amplify or Amplify?
I don't know.
I
Amplify, probably.
Yeah, probably makes more sense.
Yeah,
I
well,
like
it's also
Amplify,
like
though. Let's roll with
Wi-Fi.
that.
Practice, play, record, let it rip. Let's see what it goes for. Let's see what the 30 sells for.
Do 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 do.
Because I'm sure it has multiple amps in there.
Yeah.
30 watt multis. Okay, so here is an amp that sells for $299.
Wow. Okay. All right. $299.
$299. It has 30 guitar amplifier effect processor features.
Okay.
200 amp cabinet, stomp boxes, and studio effects.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, we get it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting approach. I'm really curious, not just like why they're doing what they're doing or how they're justifying it, but I'm curious to play one because it just seems like I don't know. It seems really.
But to be fair, this Amplify 30 doesn't have a DI out. So that's not really. Let's see if there's a higher. Here's the 150 watt version, which is $599, $499, $499 for the 100 watt version. 150 watt version.
What was this thing called again? I just realized when I said $10.99, I was looking at the actual 65 Deluxe reverb.
It's called the Tonemaster.
Tonemaster. Oh, geez. All right.
Tonemaster Deluxe Reverb. I just think there isn't a value there.
Tonemaster Deluxe Reverb, $8.99. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I said $10.49. It's $8.99.
Yeah, no,
but yeah, it's
the 68 real one.
Right. Sorry.
Which doesn't make sense because you're basically looking at a price difference of $149 to get a real tube amp versus getting a modeling amp that's a one-trick pony.
Right, and they're doing some things differently. Like, the Deluxe Reverb with tubes is 22 watts. They're doing this one with a 100 watt digital power amp to achieve the headroom and dynamic range of a real deluxe tube amp. Yes, I mean, I guess their selling point here is that you're saving weight and you don't have to worry about tubes, and that's the selling point.
If it was $499, I would be like they hit it out of the park.
It's yeah. I mean, it's
They're selling it for $400, overvaluing it, in my opinion.
yeah. It's
500 bucks. I tell somebody, hey, listen, you want to get a great deluxe reverb for 500 bucks, get the modeling version. But how do you tell somebody, hey, you want to save $150, get the modeling version? Yeah, fuck you.
it's
That's what somebody would just say to
right,
you.
right, right.
When
Well,
Fender says, hey, we have a Fender twin for $9.99, but it's not tube, it's all, yeah, go piss up a fucking rope.
yeah. The thing that kills me about this, we talked about this on an episode a few weeks ago. It just bugs me when I see. And sorry, I'm like looking off in the distance. I'm looking at the screen here.
No,
It just it
it's all,
bugs me when I see this type of marketing using a high performance 100-watt digital power amp to achieve headroom and dynamic range of a real vintage deluxe tube amp. So right now there's the comparison to that. Then you go to another page, simulates a 22-watt tube amp performance. Like everything is this compared to, and the thing that kills me about modeling is like that's what they do. They're always like, and it's been this way since the beginning, but it's always like, oh, we're just as good as a tube amp. But then you listen to it and it's like, you're close, but you're never gonna be able to get there. The moment that you're like, we're look what we did, it's like, it's almost there. There's always that like, am I willing to settle from the customer? The customer has to say, am I willing to settle because I'm getting less? And
for me, it's
that's
more
a
about the
problem.
way it plays, the way it sounds. I mean, if somebody were to play something and say, "Is that a tube amp or a modeling amp?" I'll be honest. I'll be like, "How the fuck would I know? I can't tell the difference." But if I'm playing it, I think there's a more of a perceived difference, maybe. But I just okay. So
And
here
there's what's the bigger one called?
is
They're doing a twin too. That one's $9.99.
yeah.
And that one's got the 200-watt power amp.
Yeah. So the Line 6 Firehawk 1500-watt amp, it has all the outs, all the same stuff that the Fender claims to have. Except there's 200 amp cab models. There's 128 presets. So you can pretty much go do this and take any gig and you should be okay. And the Firehawk costs $799, and that's what I'd expect. I'd expect it for it to be $899. The deluxe reverb, it should be modeling more than one amp. And the
Well,
fact that it's
yeah.
just modeling one amp, it's like, I think it's embarrassing.
It is really interesting that it's a model. So it's gotta be DSP. It's not just like they wired the front end with MOSFETs or with whatever
Right.
to
Yeah.
simulate tubes. It's got to be digital, right?
Right. Of course, if it's when they
Oh
soon as
yeah,
you say it's modeling, it's
right.
yeah.
It claims here the amplifier uses massive digital processing power to achieve a single remarkable sonic feat. Okay. I'm curious to hear and feel it because it's yeah, I mean my initial speculation is exactly the same as yours. It
Yeah.
feels like, man, this is gonna be a
The
tricky sell. What
the
was the one they did
problem they
years
run
ago?
into.
You remember
Sorry.
years ago they did a deluxe in a Princeton with some other series. Was it called like the VM series or something? Where they had
Yes.
maybe like DSP for effects built into it, but it was a real
Exactly.
tube amp or something.
Yes. Terrible.
What was that called? Any idea?
Well, it was the Fender Deluxe. They didn't call it a deluxe reverb.
I think it was called
Um,
Vintage Modified VM.
it
Was that it?
is yes, the Fender Deluxe VM.
That didn't take off for them. They sold it for a few years, but that was it. And I saw one at Guitar Center the other day used
No,
for
it's
like,
vintage and modern is what the VM stands.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
no, you're right. Vintage modified
Okay.
series. It says vintage and modern in caps here, and then it says the VM amplifier is a member of Fender's new vintage modified series. Yeah,
Are they
40-watt tube with a DSP.
Right.
of
Do they
effect.
still sell that or no?
No, discontinued.
Okay. Yeah, I saw one at Guitar Center a few weeks ago in their used department, and it was selling for pretty cheap. It was like maybe four and a half or $400, which I
Yeah.
thought for a deluxe it was very cheap. So that
Yeah.
tells me that the used market on it's not good. That means people don't really care.
The problem that a lot of guitar companies have is value versus perceived value. And the perceived value of a one amplifier, one trick pony modeling amp is not $899. The perceived value would be around the $499 area.
Yeah,
And you're going to
yeah,
see these amps when they get discontinued being blown out. I would probably pick one up used for $199. That would be like where the value is to me. Otherwise, I don't see it as any. I mean, who cares?
yeah, yeah. I can't imagine you buying one of these used. I just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it would
Unless
have
the
to fall
thing,
into my
unless
lap.
the
If someone
thing,
says, give me $100.
yeah, this thing would have to be revolutionary and actually not only sound and feel like the real thing, but like I think if you're going to spend that kind of money new, it's got to be really convincing. I'm curious. I'll check it out. What
Yeah, I just
what else
don't
is going
know.
on
Is
in NAMM?
anything that convincing? Like, I mean, I play the Mustang here,
Yeah,
and it sounds great and it sounds convincing when I make my little demo sounds of it. And is anything going to be more convincing? This thing cost 100. I bought it used for $125. I think
yeah.
new they went for $199.
Kind of hard
But
to
the
argue
person
with
that I
that
bought
for
it
a
from, I
home
saw
amp.
them take it. What's that?
Hard to argue with that for a home amp.
Yeah.
I
Oh, it's
remember.
crazy, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, and I use it on the show, and it's
Yeah,
like to sit there and say, well, we have a deluxe reverb, and it comes in the same box, and it looks like the real deal, but it's a modeling amp. It models one amp. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
so
Like,
yeah, it's
why
an
am I
interesting
paying
idea.
$899 for an amp? Why am I paying 900 when I could buy for 150? I mean, literally, if the other amp is 1200, what could you go into a store if you had a local store and talk the guy down to?
Yeah,
1,000 out the door?
maybe if you're lucky. Yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
you spent $100 more.
So what else did we see at Summer NAMM? Let's get off this one for a minute because
CRE Guitars.
the foldable, flappable guitar.
Yes, folks, just when you thought Voyager was the dumbest guitar you've seen with the acoustic foldable guitar, another group of geniuses have done the electric version.
This guy it's the funniest thing. I love this because it's probably literally like the nicest guy on the planet. And you're like these fucking geniuses.
It's just way to
It's
wait.
hilarious. No,
I call them geniuses. To be fair, is way to make a product that nobody wants.
I'm looking at
You
this
know what I
guitar
mean?
right now, and there is so much hardware on the
Look,
back of this guitar. It is mind blowing.
if I said to you, look, here's a Sharpie. Now on the back end of this Sharpie, it's going to have a mini screwdriver, but I charge it. I'm selling these for 800. You'd be like, what do I need a fucking screwdriver on the back of a pen for? Nobody's asking for it. It's not necessary. I can buy a screwdriver by itself for $10, and I can buy a pen for $1.
Where are you shopping that's going to cost you $10 for a screwdriver?
Home Depot.
Bro, you can get that thing for $1.50. Come on.
Oh, I'm
Harbor
talking
Freight.
about a nice one. I'm talking about, well, no, exactly, but I'm talking about I'm talking about if you're going to buy some quality and then someone's going to put it together on a pen and charge you $800, you'd be like, yeah, thanks for creating something I don't need.
You want to
Well,
buy
this
something
is the
quality,
guitar.
you might consider buying from me.
Look, I could take a dump in a box and I'll get guaranteed I got spare time, but you want to buy a quality product. So,
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. I'll tell you what, the one thing I love about it is the back of it looks like a freaking car engine. There's so
yeah,
much going on there. It's a lot of hardware.
it's ridiculous. They have the thing to let the slack off the strings, and then and then the strings don't kink. The whole system is crazy because it makes it affordable so you can fly with it. But you're paying $3,000 for this throwaway guitar.
You're like, I could fly with this guitar But god damn it, the fact that you put Seymour Duncan 59 neck and bridge in it, make it unusable for me. Says Dave Levine.
I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, I always thought it was insane when like Schecter, ESP, all these other I know I named two companies that are owned under the same umbrella, but all these companies were putting Seymour Duncan 59s in the neck and JBs in the bridge, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, we're got this. It's great sound." Everyone had the same sounding guitar. It's like,
Right.
You guys are geniuses.
Yeah, nobody's
which
doing
one
anything different. Yeah.
Right. Which one of you geniuses came up with this idea? Because everyone's doing it and nobody can come up with their own idea. But yeah, so the 259's not my favorite. I'm not a Duncan fan.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of the Godo 510 tuning machine?
I love them.
Yeah, that's on this guitar. I give them credit for picking some good keys.
They charge $3,000 for the guitar. Thank God they spent a little bit of money on the tuning machines. It's insane.
It must have cost them a fortune to develop this weird mechanism in the back of the body. The whatever this tensioning whatever mechanism in the back of the body. It just looks like
the mechanism
looks
like
incredible.
From the movie Brazil.
You know what? You know where they really screwed up? Well, they screwed up on the whole concept. I mean, the fact that you've got
nobody wants a folding guitar.
Not for $3,000. This is a tricky one. But man, this like the way the back of it looks, they should have dialed this entire guitar to look steampunk. You know what I'm talking about? That style they call steampunk.
Well, because the back is steampunk.
Oh, completely. But then then the top is like this Lake Placid blue metallic paint, and it looks boring. The back of it, on the other hand, man, you just make the whole guitar out of like lucite or something that's transparent. So
Again,
you can
the problem
see this crazy thing
is perceived value. If I say to you, John, there's a guy that makes a guitar and it folds in half so you can travel and get on a plane with it. What's the perceived value that you would spend on an instrument like that?
Let me ask you about this perceived value here. How come it says in their verbiage here, ebony fingerboard, and in every single picture I'm looking at, it's rosewood?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, yeah, no, regarding like the perceived value.
How much would you pay for a guitar that folds? And would you pay for one?
No, it's not for me. It's
$300.
It's unnecessary, but it's
10% of what they're charging is what I would be willing to pay for something like that.
You know, well, I think a bigger question is how big is the market for this? How many guys are traveling on an airplane and saying, I desperately need to take a guitar with me on this business trip because my hotel room at night is going to be boring? I guarantee you, for the $3,000 you're going to spend on this guitar, when you're in your hotel room at night, that's going to be like 10 hookers.
I was just going to say, you're going to wish you had money for prostitutes. You're going to be like, God, this thing. And it's just like...
So stupid.
But I mean, just in general, it's like, and I got 259s in this thing, so my hotel room, it's going to sound great. I just think these guys are trying to solve a problem that nobody's having.
That might be the case. I mean, maybe there's the doctor lawyer guy out there. You probably sell a few of them, but I just have a real hard time feeling like you can find a mainstream with this. I wish that they would listen to this program and say, maybe we don't need a folding guitar, but we should take the look of this thing and turn it into a steampunk guitar. That'd be cool.
It's different if Fender came out with one, because at least people would be like, well, I know what it's going to feel like. I know the value of the company. You know what I mean? But here's a brand new guitar company that makes a $3,000 folding guitar.
What's it weigh? All that metal, unless it's all aluminum. And
well, there's hardly any wood. They chop out all the wood. I mean, there's like nothing in the back there. Right. You can see the guitar is gutted.
This one doesn't have focused mids. It has folded mids.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, completely brutal. Hey, they pleck it.
Yes, I saw that it was plecked.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's ready to rock.
Oh, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. That changes the complete value of it. I didn't realize that it was rock ready. God.
Yeah. I don't know.
Voyager did the same thing with an acoustic guitar. Who would want to buy an acoustic guitar that folds in half? People were like, oh, they weren't properly funded. No, it's not that they weren't properly funded. They weren't properly ideated. The idea itself sucks. You're solving a problem that nobody has.
It's one guy per every major metropolitan area that purchases a folding guitar. You remember at West LA we carried Voyager for a minute? I think like the first week we had 3 of them in stock. We sold 1 of them, and that was it. Crickets after that, because there's one guy per every major metro that wants that guitar. So you'll sell 50 guitars. That's it, but not at $3,000. That's gonna limit you a little bit.
I don't even remember what the Voyager price point was.
It was under $1,000. That was even the USA ones. They were still pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you're solving a problem that nobody asked you to fix.
Yeah, it keeps coming up. They're not the first or the second or probably even the third company to do this folding guitar. I don't get why
it's all mouse traps.
Why does it keep
trying to build a better mousetrap? Like, oh, look we figured out how to make the guitar fold, and they've come out with the problem. Like, hey, do you guys remember Voyager? The problem was the way the strings were. How can we fix it? I know, we'll put this steampunk contraption in the back that blows off steam and makes whistle noises when you fold it. Whatever.
That'd be the best.
That would make the thing actually of value. But no, so what happens is then they're trying to solve this problem. And then they finally solve, and they come out with CRE Guitars. And then somebody's got to break it to the guys. Thanks for solving this problem that nobody gives a shit about.
I wonder how many they've sold so far, because it looks like...
It reminds me of, you ever see the movie Night Shift?
They came out like at the beginning of this year. They've only been around for 6 or 7 months.
It's like when Michael Keaton is talking to himself, inventing microwave pants. You walk down the street, you bake a potato. It's like, yeah, who wants to bake a potato when you're walking down the street? You know what I mean? It's like you're solving...
What movie is that from? That's hilarious.
Night Shift.
Okay, yeah. I love the idea of baking a potato in your pants.
Yes. I mean, that's the absurdity of...
It would be more like
the
steaming
folding
them,
guitar.
depending on,
Right.
the swamp ass.
Depending on the weather.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it right now. Anyway, if people want to go and look at this themselves, it's CIARI Guitars.
Yes.
CRE with a C, not with an S. CIARI Guitars. And looks like Jonathan Spangler is the name of the guy, San Diego-based guitar company. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I wish him the best, but it's definitely an idea it's a limited marketplace, man.
I mean, in the reality of the oversaturated guitar world, where you have companies like Kiesel and, all in the periphery, you have companies like, even Bernie Rico Jr. is still making guitars, and you have all these small side builders, and really they're not going to get anybody coming to them unless they have an artist that's out there playing it and people see it. Which, I think Kiesel makes a good guitar, the Carvin guys, and
they've had a little bit, they've had a resurgence.
Yeah, well, no, because they've had people that have played it. They've had artists that come out and play them, and it brings people to the brand, and people revisit it, and they also make a quality product, and that's always a good thing. And
somebody has to come out and reinvent it, and that's what Jeff did. Jeff Kiesel reinvented that brand.
He did
a good job with that, for sure.
I think he did a great job.
Speaking of Bernie Rico, I think it's kind of worth mentioning. I don't know if you've seen any of BC Rich's latest posts. Somebody bought BC Rich, and they are relaunching the company and refocusing it. They've got money behind them, and judging from all the photos and everything that's coming out of their new marketing department, they're going to be prime players to reinvent themselves. Nice. Everything I'm seeing and everything I'm looking at tells me they made one big fat step forward from where they've been the last couple decades. Now, I'm not a BC Rich player. I've never owned one. I like the Mockingbird.
Yes.
Aside from that, I'm not a huge fan. Like, what am I going to do? I can't play my blues gigs with Warlocks because none of the old men will let me in. In a time when dinosaurs ruled the world, you can't play a pointy headstock guitar here. No,
Right.
no, but like, it's just not for me. But anyway, the Mockingbird's dope. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, BC Rich looks like something good is happening there. They're making their guitars in the USA and in Korea, as opposed to where it's been, which has all been China and Indonesia. And for those of you out there who may or may not know this, Korean manufacturing of these guitars seems often enough to be a step above China and all that sort of thing. It's kind of like where Japan was like 15 years ago.
Sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
Good
well, especially
quality
if you find a good one like World Manufacturing makes great stuff, and Rira makes good stuff. So the thing with BC Rich for me was BC Rich up until like the early 80s, they made the USA stuff that had the big R on the headstock.
Right.
And then they had the BC Rich logo, which was on the NJ series,
Right.
which came out of Japan.
Right.
Once they went into China, it seemed like the line was all over the place, and you couldn't keep. You had no idea what the hell was going on, where stuff was made, how the quality of it was, and I think that's where they kind of went off the rails. So it'd be nice to see them making USA stuff again and their classic series stuff, like Mockingbirds, the way they used to make them. Maybe even make them a little nicer and modernize some of the electronics instead of the 50 million switches. But they already have a built-in audience. And it's important to work towards your built-in audience. Those people want Eagles, Mockingbirds, Warlocks. They should be making them. They should be making them.
I do like the Eagle now that you mention it. That's a neat stratish sort of design. I've sent them a couple of emails saying like, hey, what's going on? Who owns it? And they're like, we got a press release coming. You know, we're not leaking it until that, so they're tight-lipped.
Yeah,
but judging from everything I'm seeing, they've got money.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, there's so much stuff out there that, like I said, I think it's an oversaturated market of, hard to get in there and make your claim. And some of the people are trying to be relevant still, and Gibson, I saw some of the Gibson stuff, and they have like the modern series and the original series or classic series, and the modern series just doesn't come across as modern to me. It just comes across as we modified one little thing on the original series, and now we're going to call that modern. It's like, what's modern about that?
Right.
Like, you want modern? Put a stainless steel fret on the fucking thing. Do something. Yeah, don't just sit there and say, we're putting a ceramic pickup in the modern.
I hear you.
I think it's just... and Gibson under Henry, people say a lot of things about Gibson under Henry because they did make a lot of missteps, but they also did a lot of great stuff. And I want to point out that I think Henry was very smart in a lot of respects. To the respect of like... Guitar of the month or guitar of the week? What was
Guitar of the week? Guitar of the week.
I think I think that might be too much, but guitar of the month would be something very cool to feel out what people like. If you're making limited 50s of a guitar and they sell out immediately and the dealers are calling you, you might be like, oh, that's a success. And if you're making something and it's not selling, you'd be like, we should stay away from that. I mean, it's a great way to feel out the audience. But I think
you get like a captive focus group kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, in the real world, it's stuff.
I said that years ago that's what they were doing in the first place, because you remember how quickly the Reverse Flying V sold out, and then oh wow, look what's no longer limited. It's now in their lineup, and then of course it didn't sell because they didn't realize they're only going to be able to sell 250 of those, which was the number of each one of those weeks. And nobody gave a shit after that first 250 because, again, the guitar market's not that big. When you make something goofy like a folding guitar or a backwards flying V, you only get so much audience.
Yes.
You
And
spent
you
it
get it
on that
fast.
250. You shouldn't have. Yeah, they should have never made that a staple.
You'll get
in
it
their
fast
lineup.
too, because the
Yeah,
people who are in the audience see it as, oh, this ain't gonna be around long. I better grab one up,
absolutely. Sorry.
you know? And
Yeah,
it's kind of, but you could seriously tell what was the winner and what wasn't the winner. But they also, the thing I would say about Guitar of the Week that I think Henry blew it was they didn't do enough things to really squeak out some changes to make, like, here's a modern Les Paul. We're going to do all kinds of wacky shit to it and see how people react. And they could have just done it in a blast of 250 and see what happens and been like, well, that's a modern
yeah,
take on it. And it did well. They,
yeah. Maybe.
that was the opportunity, I think, to try stuff. And,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but, you know,
I mean, yeah. Some of the staple stuff that they did for their modernization just wasn't good. I wonder if the robot originally a Guitar of the Week, or did they just shove that down everybody's throat? Because that was obviously like a huge point of contention with dealers and fans alike.
no, no. See, the robot was originally just the robot guitar. It was a modern paint job on it. It had the super white binding with the white pickup rings,
Mm,
and it was like in that bold, dark, deep red or that midnight blue.
okay.
And then
Yeah, I
they had
remember
them
that.
in like, and then they had the robot studio, and then they decided they were going to put that on everything, and it stopped being called the robot guitar, and it was just the whatever.
Okay.
They changed the
Yeah.
name, but it was when it was the robot, it made sense. You had
Yeah.
a limited model that just had that. If somebody wanted it, because the way the guitar looked in general did not look like a standard Les Paul,
It's
so you already gave up that.
It still didn't sell well. I remember, now that you're mentioning those colors, I remember them hanging on the wall at West LA, and I feel like at a certain point we had to like give credit back, or we had to get credit back from Gibson to blow them out, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Yeah, it was yeah, so I don't know why they ended up forcing it on everybody. I guess they were just trying to recoup their investment, but it was yeah, that was poorly played. Hey, let's switch gears a little bit because there's other really big news in the industry.
Go
And I
ahead.
wanna start by saying this. I used Reverb, which most of you out there probably know. Reverb.com, great new and used gear buying and selling platform, similar to eBay, but specifically for us, nerdy musicians. I sold that Diesel the other day. You remember I told you I had
Oh,
that Diesel.
yes. Say congrats. You got rid of it.
Yeah, yeah, and I expected to. It wasn't a big deal. It's a great amp, unbelievable amp. But I what I didn't realize was that the guy that bought it from me had to pay sales tax on it. He got charged sales tax on
Wow.
my sale to him, and I am not a I'm not a licensed new product seller or any of that sort of stuff, and I
But
frankly
you
don't
used
know how
reverb.
I did, and he
And
got
reverb
charged
is the,
sales tax on it.
yeah, because of
So
reverb.
right. So I thought, boy, that really changes the game. Like I already knew that with Sweetwater a month ago when I was looking at buying something, and all of a sudden it was like, you're going to get charged sales tax on this. And it made me think twice and say, well, if I'm going to have to pay sales tax, I'll just buy it local. You know, that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like I'd rather support local business if it's all the same. No offense to Sweetwater, they do a great business, and I think they're unbelievable. But if I'm paying the same exact price, the little guy will get my dollars more often than not. But now it's not only Sweetwater and Amazon, but it's also Reverb. So pretty much everybody in this industry is going to transition onto sales tax, and I think that's going to make a significant change to that independent dealer base out there. They're still not going to be able to satisfy everybody by carrying everything like Sweetwater does, but the leveling of the playing field has definitely happened.
But if you were
Um,
Sweetwater and I was your sales guy, I would just
mhm.
say, let me eat the tax.
Sure, absolutely. But there's a lot of people that don't do that because it's a non-personal interactive experience where you are just doing it online. There's a lot of people that do that, and you and
Sure.
I are probably maybe a little more savvy than that, but for the most part, the guys that have never worked in this industry, might not even realize that there's something called MAP. There's a lot of guys out there that would probably just say, that one's $14.99. They like it better than the $16.99 version, and they say, okay, click, and that's it. That's their interaction with their purchase.
Right.
Now, with all that said, with the fact that Reverb is collecting tax on used instrument sales and everything, I found it to be really interesting timing when I read this morning that Etsy just purchased Reverb.com.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you've seen that, but
no.
Reverb, Reverb.com just announced in a press release they've been purchased by Etsy for $275 million.
Nice.
And they say in their press release, we're still going to run and operate as an independent business of that. But now Etsy owns it. This is not the first time that Dave Kalt, who owns Reverb.com, has done this sort of thing. This is he's a very smart guy, and he knows what the hell's going on. But he did something before Reverb and Chicago Music Exchange, where I think he was involved somehow in like developing a platform for financial investors. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was the technology that like Schwab uses or what, but he had some big hand in inventing this web-based investment platform. I think David can tell me I'm wrong. I don't know, but and I think he sold it for like some astronomical amount of money.
Nice.
So then he bought Chicago Music Exchange, started Reverb, developed Reverb, boom, sold it again, make all that cheddar again.
Right.
The guy is smart, man. Really
is
smart.
he also running Reverb in the sale? It sounds like what you're saying is is he still going to be on board?
That's
on
what
the
the
board of Reverb?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what his personal thing is, but the press release states that he's going to be, that it's going to independently run of Etsy.
Oh,
but
okay.
I gotta say, man, that guy is smart as nails. Or that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Tough as nails, folks. Tough as nails. Smart as a whip. Yeah. Let me ask you, how smart is a whip? That doesn't make sense either.
Right.
But anyway, he's and here's the thing. This is not to pander or anything, because I've known David now for about 10 years. I've never met a guy who is as wealthy as that guy is. I mean, that guy's very, very well-to-do. And the craziest thing about that guy is he's like one of the nicest dudes you've ever met.
Yeah.
I had drinks with him and stuff at NAMM's and whatever, and just he's like a very normal dude.
Right.
Very nice.
And does he still own Chicago Music Exchange?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. He's which is an unbelievable store.
Right.
But anybody that ever goes to Chicago, go see that store. It's unreal. There's a few others in the country that are that nice, like Dave's Guitar in Wisconsin is
Dave's is nice.
But anyway, so for those of you out there who use Reverb, that's news for you this morning.
Nice.
So what did we hit on? Folding guitars, Jimi Hendrix pedals. I think we've got a little bit of I've got some homework cut out for me. I wanna actually hear that Fender amp. I've got my
like I said, if it sounds as
doubts.
good as they make it, if it sounds identical and sounds as great as they're making it out to be, $499 is the worth price.
There you go.
I'm just saying, it's like it's not the same amp. But like, oh, here's the real tube amp that's classic, that was designed by Leo Fender, that's got a history, 6V6 tubes. Here's a modeling version of the amp. I don't give a fuck if it sounds 100 times better. It's not worth $899. I'm sorry.
There you go. All right, folks.
All righty. That's it. So we shall, and I will talk to you during the week.
Sounds good, man.
All right, everybody. Very good.
Later, folks.
You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.